Welcome to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am Nathan Nephew. Got a bit to talk about today. I think I might take a little bit of a different approach to the show today and maybe future shows, at least for part of it, because I've been getting fairly annoyed lately with and not even lately. I mean, it's been it's been a while since I've had much faith in the education system in this country and what people really know about history. And I don't pretend to be a history professor or anybody with a master's degree in history or anything, or even have studied as much history as a lot of people. That doesn't make it any less important to me or to the country, to the success of the United States of America. I think it's very important to look back at the founding, what happened, why things were done, and most importantly is that the American people and the representatives in government know the Constitution, have some idea what is in the Constitution. It's not a hard document. I mean, I have a copy of it. It's not that long. With the amendments, it adds an extra couple pages depending on how you're printing it out, but it just really isn't that complicated. I think what I'm going to do, starting today, and going section by section or whatever makes sense, I'll split it up. Some are shorter than others, some are long. I want to go through the Constitution. I want to read some of it. I want to kind of explain it, the history of it, what it means. Most importantly, what it means, how it should be interpreted, and maybe point out some of the areas where the current administration and just government in general, never mind the Obama administration, I'm including Congress and the judicial branch and everything in this, maybe some examples of where they stray from the true intention of one of the greatest documents. I mean, with the Declaration of Independence, those two things, some of the greatest documents, definitely the greatest political documents written. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I'm sure you've all heard that. That is the preamble. In posterity is the word I was trying to say. That's the preamble to the Constitution of the United States of America. It's pretty simple. It lays out the reasons for the Constitution. Justice, domestic tranquility, common defense, general welfare, liberty. Pretty simple concepts. Now, what does the preamble mean legally? It means nothing, really. It's just kind of like a preface to a book. This is what this document's going to be about. This is why we wrote it. Here's a little introduction. Doesn't mean anything. It's nice to read. It's much like I read most of the preamble to the Declaration of Independence on my 4th of July show. Doesn't really mean much. It's just an explanation. Declaration of Independence was a little different. The preamble there was kind of like, this is why you shouldn't kill us for treason. We should not be executed because we have valid reasons for declaring independence. The Constitution is a bit of a different document. It was, hey, we have independence. These are the rules we're setting forth for The government. These are the limitations on government. Actually, these are what the government can do. So I'm just going to start. Article 1, Section 1. It's short, but I'll stick there for today. We can kind of ease into this. We have the preamble, and we'll do Article 1, Section 1. It's really simple, but it's an important one. Article 1, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. Constitution of the United States of America. All legislative powers, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. All legislative powers. Now, one sentence, short, 20 words maybe. All legislative powers shall be vested in Congress, consisting of a Senate and House of Representatives. It does not say most legislative powers vested in Congress and also executive orders by the President of the United States of America. It does not say some legislative powers vested to Congress, some to a judge sitting on the Supreme Court. Think about that for a second. Think about what, I don't know, Department of Homeland Security, the EPA. The EPA, think about that. That's a big one. The EPA cannot make legislation. The EPA cannot make rules and regulations that govern the people. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress, Senate and House of Representatives. The EPA can make rules if the EPA is established legally, whatever, can make rules to handle its own internal affairs. It cannot make rules that govern you and me. But what do we have happening? We live our lives to please the EPA or the IRS or the President of the United States. How many executive orders have presidents signed that have the force of law? Because when the EPA shows up at your house, because, I don't know, you have a car, the runoff on your farm isn't good enough for the EPA, or you have the wrong light bulb, maybe, and you show them the Constitution, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to label you a radical, a potential terrorist threat, and it's not going to matter that you have the Constitution. And the Constitution of the United States of America says all legislative powers are vested in Congress. I think as we go through this, and let me know, send me an email, talk@nathannephew.com, look me up on Facebook, nathannephew.com. If you're not listening, of course, I'm also rebroadcast on Red State Talk Radio. Let me know if you think this is a terrible idea, but I really think it's important. I'm sure most of you have read the Constitution. You're familiar with it, but I reread it about a month ago, maybe more now. And, I'd remembered reading it before, but it was nice getting the refresher. There were things I was like, oh, yeah, some of the more, I don't want to say finer points because it's all important, but some of the stuff you just don't think of every day. I mean, how many people know what sorts of taxes are laid out in the Constitution? I don't know many people that know that there are specific taxes that are allowed by the Constitution of the United States of America. That the government can't just impose any tax they want, like a tax on health care. Now, there were later amendments to allow income tax and things like that, but I think it's important. So let me know what you think. Talk@nathannephew.com. Facebook, hit me up. Search for Nathan Nephew. Or contact me through nathannephew.com. It's probably the easiest way to do that. I'm going to take a quick break right now. It's a bit early, but I have some more history. I want to talk about the Gadsden flag. The Don't Tread on Me with the coiled up rattlesnake. I want to talk about that because I had a weird encounter the other day. I got a shirt. I bought it specifically for the 4th of July, but I was wearing it last week, I think. And essentially it said 1776 on it, which I think is a year that a lot of people don't know the significance of, which is troubling. If you don't, go look it up, 1776, and maybe maybe look up Declaration of Independence along with that. That's a pretty strong clue. But I have a shirt, 1776. It has a coiled rattlesnake, and it says "Don't tread on me" on the bottom, which is what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing it on the yellow flag, coiled snake, "Don't tread on me." And I just had an interesting encounter with somebody, and I want to share that with you, and I want to give some history of the flag of that symbol. Well, the rattlesnake has a symbol, and the Gadsden flag. When I come back, like I said, NathanNephew.com, you can find the show, and of course, Red State Talk Radio.
When it comes to TV, if you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best value in entertainment. Not only will you find the same channels you know and love for less, Dish sweetens the deal with free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at home. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Free HD for life, premium channels free for 3 months, scores of movies with Blockbuster at home, premium savings when you bundle DishNet high-speed internet service. Limited time offer, 24-month agreement with credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Call Dish Satellite, your Dish authorized retailer now. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. That's 800-507-9468.
Red State Talk Radio is All American Talk Radio.
The Nathan Nephew Show. Somewhat unique.
Somewhat unique?
Yes, somewhat unique.
All right, welcome back to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am Nathan Nephew. I want you to stay tuned in right here to Red State Talk Radio if that's where you're listening. If not, you should check out Red State Talk Radio. Don't forget to find my other show, At Odds. AtOddsShow.com is the best way to find that. That's also right here on Red State Talk Radio. Like I said before the break, I had a weird encounter about a shirt that I have. It has the "Don't Tread on Me" snake, the Gadsden imagery. It's not really known. I don't really know if the actual symbol came from Gadsden, and I assume it did not. And we're talking about Colonel Chris Gadsden from the Continental Army. But it's become a symbol of tea parties and you know, and libertarians, I've heard, and I don't know that there's much knowledge of the historical significance of this image. Not to say that people that use it, a lot of people think that, but well, let me tell you, I was wearing the shirt and somebody saw it and was like, "Oh, I bet there's a lot of people, you know, mad that you're wearing that shirt," right? And we talked a little bit, and what he was referencing was that it was a symbol of libertarianism and, you know, a modern symbol, and that people wouldn't like it because it was too extreme. Now, this is a symbol. I mean, the flag, the Gadsden flag, the yellow flag with the coiled snake, with the rattle, 13 rattles to signify or to represent the 13 colonies at the time. This flag is traced back. It was presented to the Congress of South Carolina in 1775. Okay, and flown on ships in 1775. The snake itself dates back several years before that. I mean, there's Benjamin Franklin in 1751. I think he wrote an article, and he made reference to sending rattlesnakes to England because England was sending its prisoners over here, so we should say thank you by sending rattlesnakes there because rattlesnakes were known, could be found, you know, within the colonies. in 54, during the French and Indian War, 1754, that is, Franklin created the join or die that you've seen. It's a snake, 8 sections, New England to South Carolina, and it's join or die. And basically, it's we need to make a union, or we're never going to make it. We won't make it separately. The Gadsden flag playing on the snake, and the Continental Marines were seen with drums with the coiled snake and "Don't Tread on Me" under them. In 75, though, Colonel Gadsden presented a flag to the Congress of South Carolina, as well as the commander of the Army, Essex Hopkins. And sometimes you'll hear the flag known as the Hopkins flag. I like to think of it as the Gadsden flag because Gadsden was the one who actually presented the flag. We all know the famous saying, "Don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes," right? Paraphrasing. Basically, that came about because the Army, the Continental Army, was running low on ammo, and the British were coming, and they got word that the British were sending supply ships with ammunition. And so they captured a couple of the ships because they decided, well, the Continental Army needs the ammo a bit more than the British Army does. They captured the ships. They turned them into Continental Navy ships. The Navy was commissioned. Essex Hopkins was sent to lead the Continental Navy, and they flew the "Don't Tread on Me" Gadsden flag on the ships. This is 1775. Okay, the Gadsden flag, the thing that you see Tea Party people waving, the coil-up rattlesnake, 13 rattles, "Don't Tread on Me," has been around since before the United States of America was formed. Hell, before we declared independence. It's great that it's still around. I mean, just think of that, how long this symbol has been around. And of course, like I said, it's not the first time snakes were used as a symbol. But all these years later, and groups generally that stand for liberty, Tea Party groups, libertarians, Tea Party, are still using the flag. But to think that it's so offensive to have a symbol that was around during the founding of this nation and was used during the Revolutionary War, to think that that's offensive is just, it's disturbing to me. And in some cases, sure, I think it's that people on the left really are offended with anything you bring up that signifies liberty. I think they're offended just by the founding of this nation. But I think in most cases, it's just a lack of knowledge. It's ignorance. And maybe not voluntary ignorance, but I don't remember learning about this flag in school. We may have. I mean, I didn't always pay attention, but, I don't remember it. Anyway, still wear the shirt, have the flag. I have no problem with it. If it offends people, then that's fine. And from now on, I'll take it as an opportunity to educate if I can. Of course, I skimmed over the story. There's a lot more details in the actual origins of the flag and the symbol. But in general, Colonel Gadsden presented the flag to South Carolina Congress and to the Continental Navy, Essex Hopkins. And basically, I just want to point out that the symbol has been around. We have a budget coming due, essentially continuing resolution expiring, and it's a big opportunity, and Mike Lee and Ted Cruz and all the good senators, and I'll throw Marco Rubio in there, he's on board with this one too, they know that when it comes time for a continuing resolution, I think it expires at the end of September, it's a great opportunity to defund that monstrosity called Obamacare. When you're passing a bill that lays out the budget, essentially, it's the time to defund Obamacare. And if we don't do it then, there might not be too many chances. Once benefits start being paid and once citizens, Americans, start seeing the so-called benefits, much like Medicaid, much like Social Security, it is impossible to get rid of it. There's no way that a year into this, 2 years, 3 years, when we finally elect, 2014, if the Republicans take over Congress and there's enough Republicans with backbones, it might even be too late then. Although some of the implementation is being delayed just so it doesn't affect the primary or the midterm elections for the Democrats. But that's just a ploy, and I talked about that before. But this is pretty much how it's going to go down. Continuing resolution is going to come up. We're going to need to pass it because otherwise the government will shut down. And oh no, what would we do if the government wasn't running for a day or two? House Representatives, where these bills are supposed to start, and we'll get to that in the Constitution. But basically, money things start in the House. House passes a continuing resolution. Assuming they have the votes, they need a few more than the polls are showing now. But if they get enough Republicans with backbones and Democrats, you guys can step up too, to pass a resolution that does not, a budget that does not fund Obamacare, take the money out of it. If it doesn't have money, it can't grow. Money is the fuel. It'll go to the Senate. Harry Reid will say, nope, we're not voting on it. No way. And at that time is when the fight really happens. And that's when you see who has the balls, who's going to stand up for this country. Because what happens every time is the Republicans want the government to shut down. They want the economy to crash. They want the military to not be paid their salaries. They want the poor to not have health care. They want children to starve. We need Republicans to stand up and say, no, we will not vote for something that funds Obamacare, because in the long term, Obamacare is not good for the economy. It's not good for this government. It will kill jobs. It will kill our healthcare system. It's not what we want. It's not what the American people want. That's when it's going to be so important for you and I and everybody else who cares to stand with our representatives. Stand with them. Write letters, send emails, phone calls. Even the ones won't vote for it, still. Bombard them with communication. Tell them what they need to do, because they're not there for themselves. They're supposed to be there representing you. And if you don't tell them what you want, they won't know, and they won't come asking because they don't care. If enough of us stand up, stand with the representatives that are doing the right thing, we can actually make a difference. And it's the time to do it. Like I said, if we don't do it now, our next chance, it might be too late. Once these things are designed that once they take hold, you can't undo it, because it's nearly impossible to take freebies away from people. I mean, just imagine how bad it is now. Imagine the backlash if we try to get rid of Obamacare after all sorts of people with pre-existing conditions, or the really poor after they're already getting free, so-called free health care. It's just not going to cut it. Like I said, look at Medicaid, look at Social Security. Bush even mentions thinking about privatizing Social Security, and he wants old people to suffer. It's just crazy. Well, I spent a lot of time talking about history and things, but I think it's important. Like I said, I'm going to try to get through at least a part of a section, I don't know, of the Constitution each show. So it'll take a while, but eventually we'll get through the whole thing. I think it's important. I've said that 1,000 times, but I really do think it's important. Let me know what you think. TalkingNathanNephew.com. See you next week.